And they lifted up their voice and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law. But Ruth clave unto her. And she said, Behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. And Ruth said, Entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. Where thou diest will I die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me and more also, if aught but death part thee and me.
Do not urge me to leave you or to return from following you. Naomi was saying, why go with me? I will have no more children. Why come? And Ruth wanted to go with Naomi because she wanted to be with Naomi. She loved her, and she was choosing the true and living God of Israel. So she says, do not urge me to leave you or return from following you. Ruth says to Naomi, where you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts me from you. So after this time of discussion, Ruth just pleads. She wants to go with Naomi and make Naomi's people her people, and Naomi's God, Ruth's God. So beautiful. So
I set you free. You don't have to care for me. Your husbands are dead. That covenant has been absolved by death, just as marriage is today. That covenant has been absolved. You are set free from your obligations. You are free to go your own way. You don't have to follow around an old woman, is what Naomi is saying. You're not going to have to follow around an old woman and care for her. You need to go, you're young, you need to go and live your life. But was ready to say goodbye. And she said, Naomi says, verse 15, see, your sister-in-law has gone back. Your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. Return after your sister-in-law. I'm trying to cut you loose and let you go of your obligations here. Then again it says in verse 16, but Ruth said, do not urge me to leave you or to return from following you. For where you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts me from you. And when Naomi saw that she was determined to go with her, she said no more.
Ruth replies, don't urge me to leave you or turn back from you. Where you go, I will go. And where you stay, I will stay. And your people will be my people. Your God, my God. And where you die, I will die, and there I'll be buried. And may the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if anything but death separates you and me. What is Ruth saying? In a phrase, don't pressure me to desert you.
Naomi tries to absolve Ruth of any obligations she might have to her. You are free from me, just like you are free from the obligations of serving your husband. He has passed on. You need no longer to serve me. You are free to go live your life and do what you want to do. You are not obligated to me. But you see Ruth's response. Ruth understands that there are many obligations that we may be free from in life. We are never free from the obligation of mercy and grace and steadfast love.
It's a love story planned in heaven and carried out by God. And it all took place right here in the outskirts of Bethlehem.
And read it in its sweetness. You see a woman facing an uncertain future with a certain commitment. And when you enter family relationships, You face an uncertain future with a certain commitment. Commitment binds us together as we step into the future.
She bore a son. Then the woman said to Naomi, Blessed be the Lord, who has not left you this day without a redeemer, and may his name be renowned in Israel. He shall be to you as a restorer of life and a nourisher of your old age. For your daughter-in-law who loves you, who is more to you than 7 sons, has given birth to him. Then Naomi took the child and laid him on her lap and became his nurse. And the women of the neighborhood gave him a name, saying, A son has been born to Naomi.
That sounds like a promise. Where you go, I will go, and only death will part us. It comes as no surprise then that we would use texts like that for wedding ceremonies, because that is a covenant promise of devotion. I am determined to death to be with you. Only death will separate us. Love is my obligation. This covenant is my obligation. No matter what comes, I have steadfast love toward you. That's what that Hebrew word chesed means. I will have steadfast love. I will remain by you no matter what. And you see Ruth exhibiting that kind of love.
Now, let me tell you what I've done with these verses. All my life, I've used these verses in weddings.
Maybe the most frequent use that we have ever heard this verse used is in a marriage ceremony. There is some appropriateness to that.
Key part, and maybe the most familiar part of the story, is where Ruth pledges her commitment to Naomi. It's a beautiful passage in Ruth chapter 1, verses 16 and 17. Alice will read that for us in just a few moments. It's so beautiful, in fact, that couples sometimes have been known to take those words and express them to each other at their wedding.
Which Ruth makes a vow to her mother-in-law. And the question is it proper, is it right to take this vow made to a mother-in-law and use it in a Christian wedding?
To take it out of context.
Take it out, put it in a different context, right. Alice, read those words so our listeners will get an idea of what we're talking about.
This is found in Ruth chapter 1, verses 16 and 17, where we read, Do not ask me to leave you or to turn back from following after you, for wherever you go, I will go, and wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried. And the Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts you and me.
Those are beautiful words. In fact, some of the most beautiful words in literature. Can you see how these words would be used as part of a Christian wedding ceremony?
Certainly, I think that it has a strong sense of commitment, a commitment to death. And that's part of what is often included in every wedding ceremony, where the groom and the bride pledge to love one another, cherish one another until death parts them.
And how do the words of Ruth as a vow to Naomi resemble vows that are made, say, in a wedding ceremony?
I think there are a number of ways in which the promise that she is making is similar to the promise that a man and a woman make to one another when they are married. I think there is a promise to resist all pressures against this relationship, anything that is going to push against the relationship and push these two people apart.
In the case of Ruth, where she says, your people should be my people, your God, my God, she really meant that. She was leaving Moab, she was going to Israel, and she had come to embrace the God of Israel.
It almost seems stronger when Ruth makes this unilateral commitment to her mother-in-law than what a bride and a groom mutually make to one another in a marriage ceremony.
I agree with you, Mart. It's not stronger in one way, but it's unilateral, as you said. There's nothing in it for her except just hardship.
At least at the time she makes the commitment, she doesn't see that there's anything in it for her.
As
You know what? I'm going to stick it here with you. Where you go, I shall go. Your people will be my people. Where you're going to be buried, I'm going to be buried. That's relationship.
And we're going to say the sealing of this today from the book of Ruth. And if you'll repeat after me together, and here it is. Do not ask me to leave you.
Do not ask me to leave you.
Or to turn back.
Or to turn back.
From journeying with you.
From journeying with you.
For wherever you go.
For wherever you go.
I will go.
I will go.
And wherever you dwell.
And wherever you dwell.
I will dwell.
I will dwell.
Your people.
Your people.
Shall be my people.
Shall be my people.
And your God.
And your God.
Shall be my God.
Shall be my God.
And nothing.
And nothing.
But death.
But death.
Shall part you from me.
Shall part you from me.
God had a sovereign plan for her and a plan for Ruth, and He provided for them, and God wanted Ruth to become part of the lineage of Christ. And God also wanted to show His acceptance and inclusion of any person.
Ruth refused to allow life's limitations to imprison her. She refused to allow the fact that she was different. People's choices are tolerance in that day.
Don't ask me to leave you and turn back. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you live, I will live. Don't ask me to leave you and turn back. Don't ask me to leave you and turn back. Wherever you go, I will
dwell.
Wherever
Your people shall be my people.
Shall be my people.
And your God.
And your God.
Shall be my God.
Shall be my God.
And nothing. But death.
But death.
Shall part you from me.
Shall part you from me.
Before we seal this sacred event, it would not be complete without our all renewing our love for our heavenly bridegroom and Lord. And so,
once you reach that tipping point, things accelerate. We're in the acceleration phase. That's why. But God's not finished. I mean, we have to understand, because as the dark gets darker, the power of God is there for those who will be strong. 3 states, since the last time we've been here, 3 states have now legalized gay marriage. This month, the Supreme Court is going to decide the future of this issue, of the biblical definition of marriage, this month. And it looks like they may very well strike down the Defense of Marriage Act.
Tonight, family members of a gay teen want her out of a Christian boarding facility. They say that she was sent there by her own parents to, quote, pray away the gay.
Eyewitness News reporter Sharon Coe joins us live. And Sharon, the aunt is taking the parents to court?
Yeah, Jeff and Sarah, the aunt hired an Austin-based attorney who's well known for litigating LGBT cases. There's limited information about Sarah, but the family says the teen was sent to a boarding facility in East Texas. The family has now made a GoFundMe account raising money for legal costs to try to get her out.
Save Sarah. The page dedicated to her release is not only attracting the dollars, but outrage from the community. The family says the parents of the 17-year-old sent her to a Christian boarding facility to undergo, quote, therapy for her disease after she went to prom with her girlfriend.
There are instances in which both the Old Testament and New Testament speak to the matter with unbelievable clarity. And friends, and this is the highest level, the very highest level of clarity, where the Word of God has spoken. Both Old Testament and New Testament ought not to be any debate whatsoever about it. And you know what that sin is? It's a sin of homosexuality. Romans 1, 1 Corinthians chapter 6, 1 Timothy, I think it's chapter 4, and of course Leviticus 18, Leviticus 20. The Word of God speaks there both, and in fact in Romans chapter 1, Paul affirms that this particular sin is worthy of death.
Shine on me, shine, Jesus, shine, fill this earth with the glorious glory, radiate true.